Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited for this week's video because we are talking art supplies. Yay! Specifically, the art supplies that I use most often. So this video is by no means gonna cover every art supply that I use, but it is gonna cover most of them. We're gonna be talking everything from sketchbooks, pens, pencils, watercolors, color pencils, you name it. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and let's get started with sketchbooks. So I've used a ton of different sketchbooks in all kinds of sizes, mainly everything from like A3 to A6 is usually what I've worked in. My favorite sketchbook by far is the Etcher sketchbook. I really like these sketchbooks because they use very high quality thick paper. Here, you can hear how thick that is. So I like them a lot because since they do use that thicker paper, they work great with mixed media. I've used watercolor in this sketchbook. I've used oil pastels, markers, and it takes everything like a champ. I also like my sketchbooks to have cold press paper. I prefer that my paper have a bit of tooth to it, like you know, that rougher texture. I just think it helps with the final piece of artwork. It kind of gives it a little bit more dimensionality, and I like the way that it feels when I'm actually drawing and painting. You get kind of more of a tactile feel, which is nice. And like I said, I use sketchbooks of all sizes. Primarily, I work in A5 or B5 size. So this Etcher sketchbook is a B5, which is a bit taller. As you can see, it's just a little bit taller and a little bit wider than an A5 sketchbook. And then I also use like these pocket size sketchbooks for when I'm traveling and, you know, I just want to have like a sketchbook in my pocket and, you know, not have to like carry a bag with me or anything. So those are sketchbooks. Again, Etcher is my favorite one. But I'm always, you know, trying out new sketchbooks just to keep things fresh. I'll also use like, kind of like these cheaper, like spiral bound mixed media sketchbooks. I use these a lot to kind of jot down ideas and kind of use them as like kind of like scrap paper in a way, just to kind of, you know, get some ideas down and play around with things. So I'll use these frequently as well. And now moving on to things to actually draw with, I figure we could start with pens. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of fountain pens. I really like this TWSBI. This is the TWSBI Diamond 580 AL, if I'm not mistaken. I really enjoy fountain pens. I like the ink flow that you get out of them. I like the fact that you can fill them with any ink that you want. So I really enjoy using fountain pens a lot. I'll also use this Sailor Fude nib pen. The Fude nib, as you can see, it's just got like a little bent nib there. That just gives you more flexibility with the width of your lines, because I'll actually demonstrate here. Because you see, the more vertical you hold the pen, the thinner the line, and then as you start to tilt the pen back, you start getting more ink flow and you start getting these thicker lines. So I kind of like the line variation that you get out of these pens. And then I'll also use this Pentel Pocket Brush pen. Again, this also just helps with line variation. So the lighter you press, thinner the line, and then as you press thicker, you get a thicker line, and then back to thin. And then I'll also use fine liners. I typically work with either the Staedtler or the Micron PNs. The Micron PNs, for those who don't know, because I didn't know about these, it's actually, they've got a plastic nib. That's what the PN stands for. I actually prefer these to the traditional Microns. I feel like these nibs seem to last a little bit longer, and you also get a very consistent line, which is nice. So I really enjoy these Micron PNs. And then for the Staatlers, these are just like standard fine liners. I usually use the 0.1 and the 0.3. The Staatlers, I've just always been a big fan of the Staatlers. I used to use the Microns, and then I found out about the Staatlers, and these seem to just be better quality. I find like these last longer than the Microns do, so I really enjoy using the Staatlers. So those are my fine liners. And now for highlights, especially for when I like watercolor and stuff, I'll typically use either the Uniball Signago, or I've actually come across these acrylic paint markers by Utilo Craft. These are actually really great. I actually enjoy these more than the Uniball, only because the Uniball, this is a gel pen. I find that it tends to kind of like clog up and provide like inconsistent lines. So I've kind of been getting frustrated with this one, but the Utilo Craft, this one's been awesome because again, it's just an acrylic paint marker, and it's also a more you get a more saturated white as well, and you see that right there, and it's just a more consistent line. I've really been liking these a lot. So I use those for highlights. So now moving on to pencils, which I know if you've been following the channel for a while, you've heard me say that I usually recommend people work in pen. And I still believe that, because I do still think that working in ink, especially if you're a beginner, really helps boost your confidence and really makes you think about the line that you're going to draw before you draw it, because again, ink is permanent. But I do enjoy using pencils. So my favorite is the Blackwing 602. I just think it has really balanced graphite. It's not too firm, it's not too soft. I think you can get a lot of range with this pencil. You can get, you know, lighter lines, you can get darker lines. So I really like this pencil. My other favorites are the Tennessee Red by Musgrave Pencil Company. I like these pencils a lot. I just think they have a really, again, a nice balanced lead. They're a comfortable pencil to hold. They're not particularly expensive. I just happen to really like this pencil. They also used to make a pencil called the Green Belt. I don't think they make it anymore. I haven't seen it on their website in a while. But this is made with sustainably harvested wood. So I enjoy this pencil, and as far as I know, it uses the same graphite as the Tennessee Red, so I really enjoy these. And then something else that I've been using is I've used these clutch holders. They just open up, and you put in they just hold these little pieces of graphite, and these are a bit bigger. As you can see, the graphite is wider than your standard pencil. I like these because they force you to hold it with a looser grip, and so these are great for getting an idea down really fast, kind of just laying out a character or a landscape or a scene or something. And I enjoy these because you can't really obsess over the details with this. There's no real, you can't really do the fine details with these. So I really enjoy these just because they take some of that pressure off, and they allow you to just be more loose and free with your lines. So I really enjoy these. And then this is just kind of the same idea. It's the same principle, although not as thick as the clutch, but it's a thicker pencil. These are usually for children when they're learning how to first write. But again, I like these for the same reason. They force you to kind of hold them with a looser grip, and you can, again, get looser lines. You can do a bit more detail work with this than you can with the clutch, just because, again, the difference in the graphite size. But yeah, but this is also by the Musgrave Pencil Company. This is called their Choo Choo. Again, these are usually for children, but they're great if you're looking for something to help you kind of get out of your own head and just kind of force you to make like looser marks. These are also great if you're somebody who tends to like hold their pencil like really tight like that. You can't really do it with these. I mean, you can, but because these pencils are a bit thicker than normal pencils, your grip is going to give out. And so you kind of have to use these with a looser grip. So I really enjoy these a lot. And then for, to go along with the pencils, some of my favorite sharpeners, I really enjoy, again, this Staedtler. It allows you to sharpen both pencils. You can get these thicker ones as well as, you know, your standard pencil. And then I also enjoy this pencil sharpener. This is actually a lead pointer. Well, it's a sharpener, but it gives you, here, I can actually show you. There's two different stages, I guess. So you put it on, you sharpen on this side first, which will really sharpen the pencil down. And then this side will actually sharpen it to an incredibly fine point. I mean, like really sharp to the point where you have to be careful. Like, you see how sharp that is? Hopefully that's focusing, but it gets to a really sharp point, and you can just get like these really fine, almost kind of like you're using like a mechanical pencil lines. So I really enjoy these two sharpeners and use them quite frequently. Let's see, what should we talk about next? Next, let's talk watercolors. Watercolors are something that I've used a few different brands, mainly Winsor & Newton and Daniel Smith. I happen to really like Daniel Smith. These are the watercolors that I've been using for quite some time now. I started with Winsor & Newton, but I didn't really like them too much. And then I tried Daniel Smith, and I like these a lot. I find that these colors, I mean, it could just be me, but I find that these watercolors are a bit more saturated than the Winsor & Newton colors. I also find that these blend a bit easier. Now, I try to keep my palette fairly simple. I only use, I use 8 colors, and it's just a cool and a warm version of each. So for red, for example, I use quinacridone rose and pyrrole scarlet. For my greens, I'll use sap green and phthalo green. For my blues, I'll use phthalo blue and French ultramarine. And then for my yellows, I'll use Hansa Yellow Light and New Gamboge. And then for my browns, I will just use Van Dyke Brown and Burnt Sienna. Those are usually just to help with making more shadow colors, because I don't really use like a darker, like a Payne's gray or anything like that. I kind of just make my own shadow colors using like the different like browns and blues and things like that. So those are my watercolors. And then to go along with my watercolors, for travel brushes, I will typically use either these water brushes that you can just kind of like fill the body up with water, and then you don't have to take like a separate container with water. So you can just take the one brush and you're good to go. And then I'll also use these travel brushes that kind of just fold into themselves, or pack into themselves, I should say. These are just, they're called the Fumuse, I think I'm saying that right. This is just a brand that I found on Amazon. They come in a set of 3, I believe. This is one of the brushes. Again, very affordable, very effective, nice. They're synthetic bristles, very good quality brushes. And then for regular brushes, when I'm just like painting at home, I'll just use Princeton Heritage brushes, which are also great. And for watercolor paper, if I'm not working in my sketchbook, I'll generally use this watercolor paper from the B Paper Company. It's 100% cotton paper. Again, I like the cold press paper because I like having that bit of texture. But this is really great paper. Again, also very affordable, not too expensive. I'll also, by the way, try to link everything down below. So if you're looking to buy any of these things, check the link below. I'll see if I can link everything down there. Oh, and I also probably should have mentioned at the top of the video, this is not sponsored. I bought all of these things with my own money. This is not a sponsored video. This is all stuff that I truly do use and enjoy. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. But yeah, so I'll typically use B Paper Company watercolor paper. It's good paper, high quality. I like it a lot, very affordable. So yeah, so that takes care of that. And now for color pencils, I generally use either Derwent color pencils or Prismacolor. I have really, I've only recently started using the Derwents. I got these pencils, I think, last year. Prismacolor, I think, like everybody, were kind of like my first set of color pencils, and they're great. I really enjoy the Prismacolors. I like the Derwents a bit more just because I find that they use like the softer, it's like softer graphite, and I feel like they blend a bit better than the Prismacolors do. The Prismacolors, for me, they tend not to blend as well. These are also, by the way, for the Derwents, these are two different color pencils. This is the Color Soft and the Inktense. The Inktense, it also acts as a watercolor pencil. So you can use these as regular color pencils, but if you apply water to them, they behave like watercolor. So this is another little kind of secret. If you want a watercolor on the go, you could just take a couple of watercolor pencils with you and, you know, apply them like a color pencil, and then just add a bit of water with, you know, your water brush, and you've got like a watercolor setup without having to take, like, you know, a palette of watercolors with you, plus, you know, a jar that you have to fill up with water. But you can use these as regular color pencils. And then the Color Soft, these are just softer color pencils that, again, are just amazing to blend, and they have really awesome colors. But I'll still use the Prismacolors as well, just because, as you can see, the Prismacolor, this is a set of 36. I just have way more different shades of each color in this set. But I do enjoy the Derwents a bit more. So those are my color pencil picks, and then for markers, I use the Ohuhu alcohol markers. I like these a lot because, I mean, one, they're super affordable, especially when you compare them to like Copics, and I also believe that, I mean, in terms of quality, they're just as good as Copics, if not better. I've used Copics very, very sparingly because, again, they are quite expensive. But I do enjoy these Ohuhus. You get very nice, vibrant colors with those, as you can see. And then they also have like the chisel tip and the brush tip. They blend super nicely. I really enjoy using these, and again, with the added value of them being way cheaper than Copics, I just think for the best bang for your buck, these Ohuhus are great. I specifically use their Honolulu series. I like the variety of colors in here. So those are my markers of choice, and I think that brings us to the end of the video. I think those are my most used art supplies. There's some more art supplies that I didn't get to. I have like some oil pastels and things like that, but these are the supplies that I use the most, and these are the supplies that I keep kind of coming back to. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought. Give me a comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite art supplies. Were there, you know, any art supplies here that you may have never used before, or do you have any recommendations for other art supplies? Let me know down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.